Does anyone have a question or comment? Yes. The question was, Paul, you talked about the fact that if you've had a lot of relationships, then when you go to your marriage, all those people that you've had relationships with, they're kind of there with you at the wedding. They'll be involved in your marriage. And what about forgiveness and God's healing in this? Well, first of all, let's look at something. The emotional aspect of a man is just as real as the physical aspect of a man or a woman. Let's take a young boy in college who is immoral, has sex one night with the wrong person and gets AIDS. Goes to God, becomes a Christian, goes to God for forgiveness. He still has AIDS. What you need to realize is that there is healing in Jesus Christ. But here's something that your Christian culture has sold you, and it's a pack of lies. That Jesus is the fix-it-all. That you can basically live any kind of life in the world, go to Jesus, and He'll fix all the scars, fix all the problems and everything. No, there are scars that you will carry with you all the days of your life. And they work as reminders. And although God can bring great healing and God can do many things, at the same time, we have to not presume upon God that, I can enter into these relationships and then later on God will just take care of them. No. Not at all. We carry, I could say scars, I could say residue of disobedience. And it can affect our entire life. Men can fall. For example, I could fall. And if I fell, is there redemption for me? Yes. Is there hope for me? Yes. Could I still be used of God? Yes. Would it be the same? No. Would I carry it? I knew a man who was mightily used of God and saw God do things that very few men in this age have ever seen. And he fell. And years later, he said, "It is still as bitter as gall." And so we have to be very, very careful. Yes. Okay, that's a great question. Here's the problem. Okay, if I'm not supposed to approach this girl, at all, then how am I supposed to figure out whether she is even a girl that I'm supposed to be praying about? And if I do get a little close to her to see, how can I be sure that I don't get so close to her that I do create an attachment with her and it begins to cause problems? Well, first of all, one of the things that you need to see is you don't need to be into an intimate relationship with someone to know that person. Because what you're looking at, if you are a Christian, what you're looking at is virtue and character. For example, guys, let me tell you something. Girls, let me just fill you in on something, okay? If you're around a guy who smells bad, doesn't shave much, looks ratty all the time and everything else, after you marry him, do you think it's going to get better? It's going to get 1,000 times worse. Okay? Because he's looking his best now. He's trying to catch you. When he's got you, it's over. That's a tendency in everyone. Alright, so what you need to realize is that if young man, if there's a girl over there and you begin to just pray and watch her life and pray, you're going to get a better picture than if you were to draw near and say you're interested. Why? You're going to see her as she is. She's not going to portray anything before you. There's not going to be any falsehood, any fake. She doesn't know. She's just going to be who she is. It's like, when a girl, you see a guy that you really think's nice, but one day you get up late for a test and you run out, outside of your dorm and you look like Godzilla in a dress and you got flip-flops on and your hair's going like Medusa, and who do you run into? That guy. And you just want to crawl into a hole. Alright, well guys, it's good to see her like that. And if you don't draw near, you'll have a chance of studying and looking at her character, the way she deals with other people, the way she walks, as far as her Christian life. Now, at the same time, guys, this is very important. Guys will get into a relationship with a girl. And after they get in that relationship with a girl, they realize this is not where I want to be. And you know what they'll do? Instead of being man about it and saying, I made a mistake, they'll blame it on God. They'll go, I really like you, but I've just been praying and God's telling me this is not His will. What they do is they blame it on God. Don't do that. Don't do that. You made a mistake. Say you made a mistake. Ask for forgiveness. Now, another thing, guys, that you got to be very careful about is this. A girl, she's not going to listen to what you say. She's going to listen. She's going to look at what you do. For example, I have known guys that, they have this girl who's just their friend. I mean, their bud, and they're always just going around and everything, and it's just their bud, and the guy tells her all the time, now, we just study together and stuff. Now, there's nothing romantic. I'm not interested. This is not going anywhere. We're just friends. And the girl says, of course not, of course not. But what you've got to realize something, even though you're telling her all the time that this is just, this is just friends, this is just this, and you're not interested in marriage, and you're not interested in all this stuff, but you keep coming back to her door. You keep calling her. She is not going to listen to what you're saying. She is going to respond to what you're doing, and you're leading her astray even though you think you're telling her the truth. See, these are other things that get avoided when you do things the right way. The right way. Now, a guy asked me, he said, well, how can I know that? And I said, well, look, if you walk by her and she throws up on your shoes, that's a pretty good clue. This is not the girl. She's not that interested in you. But the idea is, you don't have to draw that close to her. You watch her. You pray about her. You know the testimony. Everyone has a testimony. You hear people talking. You can see her godliness, because you have to be very, very careful. Girls, you have to be very, very careful. If you're a godly girl and somehow it gets out that you're interested in a guy and he thinks that you're really beautiful, he'll jump through hoops for a beautiful girl. He'll change the way, superficially, he'll seem to change his character, he'll change his way of life and absolutely everything else until he has you. And I want to tell you something. Parents sometimes are just, I use this word when I teach parents, you're just so dumb. Just so naive. Look at what I hear. I hear this all the time. Okay? This girl starts going out with a guy, and he's not a Christian. And so her parents put a lot of pressure on her, and maybe people in the church put pressure on her, and finally she goes to him and goes, look, I can't be with you anymore because you're not a Christian and everything, and it's just not right, it shouldn't be unequally yoked. Man, inside of a week, this guy gets converted. I've seen it happen 1,000,000 times. He gets converted. And then everybody goes, okay, it's all right now. That evangelicals could have such lack of discernment is beyond me. It just tells me that a bunch of us are lost. It's not okay right now. Maybe it'll be okay after a couple of years of him walking with God and growing to be a man of God. Okay? Okay, another question? Yes. Great question. One of the things I said is that a man needs to be able to economically care for his wife, his family. Okay, now, here's something. Because of the way our society is set up, in which, you go to high school, they cram, in high school, they cram, into 4 years, they cram about a year of learning. You go to college, it's basically the same thing. Fluff, it just keeps you going. So that you can't even think about functioning as a man, even though you have the character of a man. You can't even hardly even think about it until you're 24. And that's a problem with our culture. But here's one of the things that I think that we need to look at. For example, I know a couple right now, and they're both in college. They got another year and a half. They're going to get married. Man, it's pretty slim. And they're courting right now. And I mean, his parents do help him some in his schooling and things like that. And yet it's okay what they're doing. I think it's right in the center of God's will. Why? Because this young man and this young woman have shown, they have demonstrated in the context that they're in, their maturity. Now, the fact that their parents want to help them a little bit, and they need that help, and it allows the young man to study more so he can get out quicker and things like that, that's okay. Because they've already, in the totality of their life, they have shown maturity, and they have shown that they are headed in the right direction. Without a doubt, they're headed in the right direction. You see what I'm saying? And the guy has assumed the responsibility. He works hard and everything else. The fact of the matter is, it's just difficult. But I mean, when you look at him, you see, man, this is a man. You look at her, this is a virtuous woman. So that's what you're looking for.